the property management industry, fair housing offenses are considered especially troubling. In the United States, a dedicated fair housing attorney, Leslie Tucker, provides case explanations and best practices. These are some cases.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fair Housing Insider's Case Files, where we break down real fair housing cases to help property management professionals stay ahead of legal risks and stay committed to compliance. I'm your host, Jonathan Sarr. Always happy to be here. Today's case comes from Franklin County, Virginia, and it involves a campground, 2 longtime tenants, and a racially motivated eviction that resulted in a $750,000 jury verdict. It's Commonwealth of Virginia versus Regina Turner. And the outcome was a major win for civil rights and a serious lesson for landlords everywhere. As always, I am joined by fair housing attorney Leslie Tucker to walk us through the legal details. Leslie, sorry for being tongue-tied. Welcome back. Nice to have you here.
Thanks. Good to be here.
So what triggered this lawsuit? What's the background?
There's actually a lot of background to this case. So this case started when an interracial married couple purchased a camper and leased a campsite at a lakeside property called Lazy Cove Campground. They leased the campsite next to some friends and really intended to spend all of their summer weekends there. When Angela, who is, let's say, the wife in this scenario, Angela, who is white, was on site purchasing the camper from the camper's former owner. Mm-hmm. And while she's doing this, the campground owner, Regina, drove by because she wanted to approve of the sale of this camper. While she was there, Regina agreed to lease that particular campsite that the camper was already on, leased it to Angela for 6 months. Angela's young son was there for this conversation, but her husband, who is Black, was not there during that conversation. So after Angela and her family had taken possession of the camper and the campsite and had started spending weekends there, Regina, the campsite owner, drove by and observed Damien, the husband, for the first time and saw that he was Black. She had conversations with multiple other tenants there at the campsite about her intention to non-renew their lease because she did not permit Black people on her campground. Regina also expressed her frustration with one of the other tenants that she wasn't given a heads up that Angela was married to a Black man. She allegedly told that other tenant that she wouldn't have rented to Angela in the first place had she known that she was married to a Black man. And she also said that even though she had seen the son previously and saw that he had darker skin, she figured that Angela had, quote unquote, just made a mistake at some point previously in her life.
Wow. Very clear evidence of racial discrimination. So what ended up happening to Angela and her family?
When they heard about the comments made about them by Regina, Angela and Damien decided to leave, to move out of the campsite. They attempted to sell the camper on site, which is exactly how they had purchased it, but Regina would not allow them to. So they essentially ended up being required to pay out the remainder of their lease and then remove the camper from the site, which they had no intention of doing previously. So a fair housing complaint was filed with the Virginia Fair Housing Office, who did issue a charge of discrimination. And then the Attorney General's office took this case to trial.
And the jury, they didn't hold back.
Nope, not at all. They ended up awarding $100,000 to Angela and her family in compensatory damages. And then they issued an additional $550,000 in punitive damages. It was the largest housing discrimination verdict in the state.
Wow. So this case really puts a spotlight on individual bias. So what are the big takeaways for the property management industry here?
Well, first and foremost, everyone is aware that race is a protected category, which means that housing providers can't make decisions based on race. That includes race by association, right? You can't treat tenants differently because of who they spend time with, who visits them, or who they're married to.
And from a documentation standpoint then?
Well, Angela didn't have any documented violations, lease breaches, behavioral complaints. So when Regina told multiple people around the property that she was going to be non-renewing Angela's family, it was clear that there was no legitimate lease-based reason. Without that kind of documentation, there's going to be an automatic presumption of discrimination.
Yeah. But in this case, there didn't need to be a presumption because there were multiple witnesses to Regina's very direct discriminatory statements, correct?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And these witnesses testified during the trial. One of the individuals even recorded her conversation with Regina. So the jury's award of punitive damages tells us that they found these witnesses to be credible. There's a powerful reminder in this of why training matters. If Regina had gone through even one fair housing course, that doesn't erase personal bias, certainly, but she might have thought twice about taking these actions in the first place.
Right. Yeah. Very good. So, Leslie, what should property managers and landlords be doing now to avoid ending up in a similar situation in this type of lawsuit?
Well, I guess two things come to mind. Invest in training and watch your language. Hey, comments that are made in passing, even if, you think you're being honest or funny or something like that can become evidence in court.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, clear-cut case. Thank you so much, Leslie, for breaking that down. And for our listeners, this wasn't some major apartment complex or a national chain. This is a small, individually owned campground, but it is a dwelling, and that means that the Fair Housing Act applies. And that's the point. Fair housing laws apply everywhere to everyone. So if you think this won't happen to me, this case is a good reminder for us to think again. So whether you manage 200 units or 2 cabins, compliance matters. Discrimination isn't just unethical, it's expensive. So thank you for tuning in to Case Files. Until next time, stay aware, stay compliant, and lead with integrity. Take care, everyone.